Your Laravel jobs might not be hanging. Let's take a quick look into how we can debug what's going on, and I'll try and offer a possible explanation to one reason why your jobs might look like they're hanging. So let's get a fresh installation of Laravel going. I'm going to start by creating a new project called Jobs. And I'll open that project up in VS Code. I'll give it a database name of jobs. And I personally have a port conflict, so I'm going to change this to 6380. You will probably leave this on 6379. I'm just going to go ahead and also change my queue connection to Redis. Okay, great. I think we've got the basics covered. Now I'm going to install Horizon. Once that gets installed, I'm going to publish the assets for Horizon as well. And lastly, I'm going to run the migrations. I'll create the database. Okay, great. Now, if we visit Horizon, you'll see that our status is inactive. You can run PHP artisan Horizon, and that will start Horizon. And now Horizon is active. Okay, great. So with that basis, we know that Horizon is set up. Let's create a sample job just to confirm that our queue is set up and processing jobs correctly. So I'm going to run this command to make a job. And additionally, I'm going to run this command that will create a command that will dispatch the job that we created here. Now that we've got those stubs in, let's go configure them. So first, we're going to look at the sample job. This is going to be super, super simple. And then we are going to go to the dispatch sample job. We'll import the job at the top. We'll have it dispatch the job in the handle. And then I'm just going to name this testing dispatch sample job. And then we will also go look for, doesn't look like we have a log yet. Our logs are empty. So let's get Horizon running, PHP artisan Horizon. And I'll open a new tab and I'll pull it down side by side so we can see what's happening with Horizon on the left and the commands that we're issuing on the right. I believe it is testing dispatch sample job. and that it is correct. And you see that Horizon processed the job over here. And now if we look here, we do have a log, and that's great. We've got everything set up to show the problem now. So now I'm going to write a job that we will intentionally time out. So I'm going to go through that process again. I'm going to quit Horizon. I'm going to make a long-running job. And then I'm also going to make the command to dispatch the long-running job. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is we're going to sleep for 35 seconds. And then we're going to write to the queue. Now, for the sake of shortening the video, I'm going to modify the default time of timeouts on jobs on the queue. So if we go to Horizon in the config, you'll see that our default timeout is 60. I'm going to change this to 30. Just keep in mind the default is 60. And our job is set up to go for 35 seconds. So our timeout is 30, and our job is set up to go for 35. And then I'm also going to set a public property of tries as, let's go for 4. And then I'll go ahead and empty the log out as well. So now we have a long-running job. Let's also set the item up to dispatch that. Great. So now we have the command set up. Let's go back in here. We're going to start Horizon back up again. And let's dispatch that job. Okay, we've got the job running now. And I'm also going to pull up Firefox here. You can see Horizon processing in the bottom here. You can see that we have our pending job. And you can't always be sitting here with Horizon open on production. That can get, kind of annoying. But it does look like our job is sitting here, and it should process any moment in Horizon. So we should be able to see the activity here, but in Horizon, in the dashboard, it will look like it hasn't done anything. So now you'll see that it's running again. And why is it running again? We don't have anything going on here. The reason is because it timed out. So you would get very frustrated trying to track down what's happening behind the scenes, because there's no logic here that has gone wrong in the long-running job. It's simply just timed out. And this will go 4 times and then it will fail. But there's no logic here that's failing. It's just that it is timing out. So let me offer you a suggestion for how to start debugging problems with jobs and the queue. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to let this run in the background just to display the problem. It's still running the second iteration. So while that's going, let's jump into the event service provider. And one of the greatest things that has been introduced in Laravel 10 is a new event for when jobs have timed out. That's new in Laravel 10. So I'm going to add 2 imports to the top here. And then I'm going to copy and paste some code in, and we're going to talk a little more about it. Okay, so in our event service provider, we've added a new event listener, and that is for this job timed out event. And it should tell us now when a job has timed out, it'll tell us what the file name of that job is, the UUID, and how many attempts it's had. And just to show you where we're getting this from, these are all events that the queue fires off with jobs. So these are all things that we have access to for understanding more about what's happening with jobs and getting better visibility into what our queue is doing. So back over here, you'll see that it's still running the third thing, and we still have nothing in our log that's been written. We haven't learned about a failure. We haven't had any helpful information to know what's happening with our log. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. It will end up failing. And then I'm also going to include some other event listeners as well. This is the one that you really need in order to see what's happening with jobs timing out, but these will also be insanely helpful. And we will also go ahead and include those at the top. So our log is empty. One more time, we're going to fire up Horizon. And now we're going to dispatch this long-running job. We've got a pending job now. And now with all of the new events that we have added, we have way more information. And this can be overwhelming, so curtail this to be what is good for your setup. But you can see that now we have a job processing in the log. We can see that a job failed and it's been attempted too many times. I think that's the holdover from the last try. And down here, you can see that a job has timed out. So we have way more helpful information about what's happening. Now that you have figured out that we have this situation happening, how do we fix it? So if we jump back into Horizon, We have this default with a timeout of 30. Normally this is 60. What I would suggest that you do is you set up a long running queue. So I'm going to grab some more code. And for this default, I'm going to put in a long running supervisor, and we're going to give it a long running queue. And I'm going to give it a timeout of 900. I think this equates to 15 minutes last time I checked. And let's go to dispatch long running job. One way that we can handle this is on queue long running jobs. Let's make sure that that name is correct. It is long running queue. Let's pop open the terminal. We'll cancel it. Let's go ahead and clear that as well. Okay, so now we have a clean slate, no pending jobs from the last run. So that won't add to any confusion. Let's go ahead and get rid of what's in the log. And let's dispatch the long running job. So this will run for 35 seconds, and then it should succeed. We can see that our job is processing. We can see that it was queued already. So it's not just sitting in the queue, it's actively being worked on. And the job was executed. So this is one possible explanation for what's going on with your jobs if they look like they're hanging. I hope this has been helpful.